welcome to Uprising 144K, Hydrogen Man. So today I'm going to talk about something a little more serious. To give you an overview of what we're going to talk about, we'll be talking about angels, we'll be talking about suicide, we'll be talking about happiness, depression, gratitude, and maybe a little bit of everything in between. Now, I hope you guys bear with me because it is going to be difficult for me to talk about this. The reason that I'm doing it is because a lot of people who know me personally and a lot of people who I've met through my videos, who have contacted me and who I've spoken to, when people ask questions, I answer and they learn a lot about me, and it's been a reoccurring theme that people have been asking me to share not only more about myself, people want to know more about my story, and also some of the things that they've learned about me, they really think I should share them. And I think that the only reason that I will, even though it's difficult, is because I think people will be able to get benefit and have some things that they can learn from it, hopefully. And so that way, all the things that I've been through, whether good or bad, won't be for nothing. So the subject that I'm really gonna touch on today is, excuse me, I just got done taking a shower, so I'm kind of really hot and a little sweaty. I'm going to be talking about something that I went through when I was younger. When I was really, really young, I went through some pretty difficult things that caused me to have a great deal of emotional pain. I wasn't in any physical pain, but it was emotional pain, a lot of depression, a lot of sadness, and it was really difficult. And as the years went on, it just got more and more difficult. And eventually, you know, as many of you know from my story, I eventually became physically ill. I'll kind of get into that, but I think I'm going to touch on something that actually caused a lot of the physical illness that I went through. So this is probably going to clarify a lot of things for my viewers that apparently a lot of them have wanted to know. And so when I was younger, I attempted suicide multiple times. And each time that I did it, I was trying to poison myself. And I will say right away that it's something that I deeply regret. A lot of people tell me, you shouldn't have any regrets in life. And I do. I regret what I did. I feel really bad that I did this to this body and that I did this to myself. And eventually, it really just led to more suffering. I've gone through a lot of physical difficulties and a lot of suffering and a lot of pain. And yeah, I regret it. You know, I know a lot of people may disagree with that, but anyway, that was what I went through. And in a way, there was a miracle. It's one of many. I've had a very strange life, and I look at things in a very non-biased way. I like to really, really be just looking at the facts. And a lot of the things that have happened in my life are definitely strange. I've had a lot of strange things happen in my life, and observing it from the outside, they're so weird that I never told people, because for those of you who don't know me very well, I'm a very skeptical person in the sense that if somebody were to tell me the story that I'm about to share with you, or any of the other stories of things that have happened to me throughout my life, I most likely wouldn't believe them. Unfortunately, that's just the case. That's the way that I am. That's why I really need to see facts for, you know, the most part. This is why a lot of the things that I know about are backed by science. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of a skeptic in that regard, and I like things to be factual. And so, what I did in this particular case, and the particular story I'm going to share with you guys, was I took a very large amount. I took just shy of 900 pills. It was like 836 pills. I counted them, I laid them out, and there were things like ibuprofen and Tylenol and some other prescription drugs, everything that I could kind of get my hands on at the time. And I also got alcohol, because I remember always reading that do not use with alcohol. So I really wanted to do myself in. I wanted my life to be over, and that's what I did. And I did it late at night so that nobody would stop me or nobody would find me. And yeah, I was in a great deal of emotional distress. And so I took I took all these pills just by the handful. Eventually, that was around midnight. And by around 6 in the morning, roughly, maybe 7, I was found. And I was still alive, though I felt incredibly sick. I felt like I was dying. And I was taken to the emergency room. Here's where things get kind of interesting, because the emergency room doctors basically said, there's nothing really we can do at this point. Anything he took has already been gone through his system. But they went ahead and just followed protocol. They stuck a tube down my throat into my stomach and pumped my stomach, and also pumped a lot of activated charcoal. And boy, I'm not sharing this story just to vent or to even talk about it. To be honest, I don't like to. I never shared this story actually, because I always felt that the knowledge I have was more important to share with people. They didn't need to know my story, but again, it seems to be of importance to people. So anyway, they did that. And when I was in the hospital, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I remember one of the doctors approaching me when nobody was around. And he came to the room and he said, "Hey, I just want you to be really honest with me. I want you to tell me how many pills you really took or what you really did." And I was totally confused. I was like, "What are you talking about? I already told you." And he said, "Well, I want you to tell me because you're telling me here that you took, 836 pills. That's impossible. It's just not possible for you to take that many." And I said, "What do you mean it's not possible?" And this is when I realized, one of the times throughout this process that I realized that possibly a miracle happened. He said, "You wouldn't have survived it." And I became curious. I've always been pretty curious, and I asked, I said, "What exactly should have happened? Like, if I didn't die and you're telling me it's impossible, what would have happened?" He said, "Your heart would have exploded." He said, "There's just no way that you could have survived that." And I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay. And I didn't feel the need to convince him. I wasn't doing this for attention. I didn't need to convince anybody of what I had done. And so basically what happened after that was, it was ironic that shortly after that, when I left the hospital and everything, I found out later, in less than a year, maybe 6 months or something, I found out that I had a heart condition. So I've kind of attributed my heart condition to something I may have done some damage to myself when I did this. Not to mention probably to my liver, but that's another story. And so when I was in the hospital, this is something that I don't expect anybody to believe me. I probably wouldn't believe anybody else if they told me either, but this is what happened. I was in there, and there was these beings of light. I think they were angels. That's what it felt like. And I didn't pay a lot of attention to them. It's not like you'd see them with your physical eyes, but I could see their outline, and they would almost chant with one voice together. And I could feel, I was in denial, but I remember feeling that they were there trying to not just comfort me, but it was to heal me. I could feel them trying to help me. And excuse me, it's a little tough to talk about when I remember it. I'm sorry for that. I'm not telling you guys, I'm telling myself, because I do regret doing that. So they were there, and they kept chanting actually the same thing. It was almost like hypnotic. They kept saying, "You'll never do it again. You'll never do it again. You'll never do it again." And it was this repetitive. And I remember thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this again. I was already almost planning for it. I was waiting to get out of there and give it a little time, give it a month or two. And I felt very strongly that I was going to do it again. I would have almost, dare I say, that I knew I was going to do it again. But they were saying it over and over. I even began to feel, I didn't see it with my eyes, but it was almost like a weird, like a vision of the future. I could feel the future, my future. And I felt like I'll never do it again. But I was in denial. I kept telling myself, like, of course I'm going to do it again. I've been trying so many times and I keep on failing. And I really, when I tried that time, the reason that I was so extreme with the amount of pills and the amount of booze was because I just didn't want to fail anymore at attempting this. And so I thought if I just went crazy overboard, that it would work. And apparently, obviously it didn't. I'm still here. And so, yeah, I kind of tried to ignore them, but they were there. And I think the important part is not so much what I did, it's more this, I guess I don't want to say making a confession, it's just people, I think the important part is what I've learned, not just from that experience. What I learned from all this, I've learned a lot about happiness, believe it or not. And I think there's a lot of people suffering from depression. I think a lot of people think about suicide. I think that the things that I've learned, what I've learned is that if I don't share this, hence the reason I'm making this video, that if I don't share what I've learned, then it would kind of be a shame, because I've done a lot of self-reflecting on this. And I believe, it's hard for me to say this, but I believe that a miracle happened. I'm still here. I probably would still try to pawn it off as something from my logic, like I just happened to survive or whatever. It wasn't a miracle. There wasn't really angels there. I was just, I don't know, delusional at the time. I try to convince myself of these things because I'm such a logical thinker. And but the things that I've learned is, one, I lost a great deal of my health, and I probably took a lot of years off my life. And I've certainly paid the price for what I did, and I obviously deeply regret it. But I've learned about gratitude. Boy, did I learn the hard way. And I hope that by sharing this, that other people won't have to go down that path, because I'll even tell anybody out there, if you ever feel like like myself in my past of not wanting to live, you're always welcome to email me. Everybody who emails me, I always make the effort to always call, always include a phone number, guys, because I do my best to call and reach out to everybody and to help, because I believe very strongly in what the ancient scriptures said, or very wise people like Jesus, for example, when he would say, love one another as I have loved you. It's like the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself, and to love God with all your mind and your body and your spirit, and your heart. And, I remember when he said that that the number 2 commandment is equally important as the first. That's a big statement. And I've learned in my life that, to me, I don't value, gold or money or fancy cars, obviously not fancy clothes. I don't value the things of this world. I really don't. I value health. If I could do anything to get my health back, or anything I could do to go back and stop what I did, I think about it all the time. I really wish I hadn't done that. I remember when I was doing it. remember feeling very strongly from my spirit that I shouldn't do it. And I was in denial. I didn't care. I just wanted the pain to stop. Yeah, it was a bad move. It was a bad move. Life is already so short. And I think we should do the best we can while we're here. And always try to be good. And do good. And it's a big reason why I share, not even just sharing this, but I have so much knowledge, and it's almost knowledge that I can't necessarily take credit for, because I feel like a lot of it has been shown to me. There's a lot of other stories I have of things that have happened to me, and if you guys want to know more, you can comment below, and I'll continue to try to share the stories and the things that have happened to me. As crazy as they may sound, because I usually try not to share them, because if I'm honest, I'm afraid, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm so afraid, but yeah, I don't want people's judgment. I don't want people to be judging like, oh yeah, that really happened to you, or that didn't happen to you, or you're making this up, or I don't need that. And I don't need anybody to verify or any validity to what I'm saying. I know what happened. And even if I try to be in denial of it myself. And I'll tell you that when the angels said what they said, they were right. I never tried again. Never tried to take my life again. Even though I wanted to, sometimes. But they were right. I never did it again. And I learned a lot about the soul and the pain of the soul and the spirit. And I learned a lot about physical pain of the flesh. And boy, has that been really rough. And I've learned a lot about both. And I don't share any of that knowledge typically on my videos, because I'm trying to stick to the facts. I'm just trying to stick to the stuff that can help people heal their flesh. But maybe it's time to open up more about the other things that have happened to me and the knowledge I have in other aspects. And I just didn't think that this is why I made my channel for. I thought it was just to teach about health and hydrogen and how to help people on that front. And it's helped a lot of people. And it's been very rewarding to have so many people find improvement like that. I always felt like things of the spirit, I just didn't want to get involved with that. But it's been just coming up too much. And so I'm kind of taking a stab at the dark here and just seeing if this is something that people want to talk about and want to hear about. And yeah, it's tough for me to talk about this to you guys. And so in the end, learning a great deal about gratitude. And that has changed a lot of things. It's difficult to know or how to be grateful, to really sincerely feel it until you've lost something. And sometimes when you lose it, it's too late. And I'm fortunate that I still have my life. And there's so much more that has happened to me, like I said, it's so odd, even things that touch on the other side, I guess you might call it. And again, whatever subject I touch on in this video, you can comment if you want me to talk about it more. Like I said, it just seems to be something that people want me to talk more about on camera. So I'm doing this. And so when it comes to happiness, happiness is not things. Happiness is not money. And to really achieve a high level of happiness is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. I know how to feed the body and the flesh, and that only satisfies to a point. The question is, do you really know how to feed your spirit? Do you know what it takes so that you can have that spring of eternal joy or happiness? There's a lot of subjects to touch on that I haven't touched on. Knowledge that I do have, because I've walked the path and I found my way, and I'm still looking for more. I'm still very open-minded, and I'm always looking. not to sound arrogant, but I don't meet too many people that teach me much. Most of the stuff is stuff that I learned through inner reflection, through my own meditational journeys that I've gone on, and just trying to learn about myself. And interestingly enough, the more I learn about myself, the more I learn about others, and I understand others quite well, sometimes even more than they understand themselves. So sometimes when I have deeper conversations with people, it's a theme that's been coming on for a long time, where people, they thank me and they say, boy, I really wish you would talk about this more. I think people would find benefit. And one of the things that I try to do, this is important, anything that happens to me in my life, good or bad, especially bad though, I try to find the good in it. I want to find the good. So that was one of the things that happened when I became very physically ill, and it was a really rough path. And I wanted to find the good in it really badly. And the good thing I ended up finding is that I learned how to, and as you guys know, I'm not giving any medical advice, but I learned through my own experience and through working with people like my family and different friends, people that I've met, how to repair this body, how to really help it heal, understanding how it worked, observing it, just learning about it. And that knowledge shocked me. I hear myself talk about health and all the things about the body, and I'm shocked, because I was never a health guru, guys. I never was that. I was a 99-cent cheeseburger, top ramen, kind of guy. I didn't care about health. I didn't even understand how important it was. I mean, I didn't understand this body is like, ancient scriptures write it as this is the temple of God. I mean, don't you want to keep it clean? Don't you want it to be in perfect balance? And that's a whole other story, because I've had interesting experiences in regards to that. As I was learning how to heal my body, I've learned so much. And my experiences of just, when I hear myself talk about it, I literally, being non-biased, I step back and I look at myself and I'm like, how do you know any of this stuff? Like, how do you know it? It's just weird. The things that I know and even understand, because they weren't of my interest. This wasn't my forte. And this is kind of what I'm known for now. It's really weird. And again, the path to happiness, it's important, try to find that happiness, try to find that good health. Gratitude is a lot to do with happiness. How can we be grateful for things if we haven't lost them yet? But once you lose them, if you lose your arm, man, would you be grateful if you had that arm back? There's just so many things to touch on. And so I think I'll just leave it at this for today. And this is just, again, another small part of my long story. I do have a very long story, and I think this is part 3 of it. And I'll make it a little bit of a series if you guys continue to be interested and you want me to share about it, and even sharing the things that I discovered. And I hope that you will not judge me, and that you can just, if you want to hear about it, you hear about it with an open mind, because it's going to take an open mind. The things that have happened, I know that if I heard them and I had never experienced them, I think I might have a difficult time believing it all. And even though it's happened to me, and that makes it it's really weird. If I'm really honest with you guys, it's just weird. But I can't deny it, and I think I've tried to deny it a lot. And it's been a rough road. But again, I have to find the silver lining. I have to find the things that I've learned, and I would like to share them so that other people, if they're going through something similar, they don't have to go through the worst of it. Because I have learned that you don't have to go through this in order to come out the other side, and in order to learn certain things, if there's someone who's already been through it. And that's why I'm opening up here, in the hopes that it will benefit. This will be the good part that comes out of what I've been through, and the things that I've chosen to learn. Instead of being in denial and running away from it, I faced my own demons. And the things that I've learned, I believe, are very valuable, some even priceless. And I think that a lot of people can benefit, as I've already been told. The people that I speak to and the people that know me on a more personal level, they reiterate it to me all the time. And they always tell me, this has helped me so much, or this has changed my life. And how can you not tell people about this part of your life? and the things that you've learned. And so, again, taking a chance, guys. So, hope you found the video helpful. Post any questions below. You're welcome to email me, uprising144k@gmail.com. If you need anything, or sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, I'll do my best to reach out. I am very busy. I do get a lot of emails, but I do my best. And let's just leave it at that for today, and I'll touch on the next video next time. Thanks for watching, guys.